on in 3, 2, 1.
This is Packard Pokset, and I'm poking at your news. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another fine edition of Packard Pokset. I am your immutable and unmutable host, Packard Sonic. And joining us tonight back from the Canadian land to kind of come in and shake things up just for tonight is Vonnie, Evolution Child.
What up, primate?
There you go. I just want to get that one out of the way before I forget.
Would you forget me that quickly?
Who are you again? No, just kidding.
Oh.
Just kidding. I'm just kidding, Vonnie. Just kidding. And join us from the far left is Dan Rellan Johnson.
Hello, hello.
And joining us out from the far right side of the coast is JoeUnseen.
What does God need with a starship?
I would like to know what God needs with a starship. Before we get started tonight, a couple things I want to touch base on. The shootings out in Colorado, I'm sure everybody here at the show sends our best wishes out to the folks and families out there that have going through this tragedy at this time. And I hope that the people that you're looking for are well and safe. And that's all I can say on that I can think of. I had something else I was going to talk about, and I completely blanked it out now, of course. We've had a lot of audio issues at the beginning of the show, so I've completely forgot. It'll come to me later, I'm sure. Anyway, let's get going to our first story for this evening. Now, DARPA, that would be, if you've never heard of DARPA, that would be the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, just commonly known as DARPA. They've come across a new way, actually, to put out fires using sound waves. So since the technology has not been advanced in at least the last 50 years for fire extinguishing problems, the current problem with fire extinguishers now, if you've got chemical or water, it makes it just a huge mess. With audio waves, it's just going to the vibrations will actually extinguish the flames. They actually did this on Mythbusters a while back because there was a claim that a human voice could put out a fire, and they tested that, and it couldn't. But with the right modulation, they were able to get it to go out with sound waves. Maybe DARPA was watching Mythbusters that day, and they say, "Hey, that's not a bad idea. Let's check that out." So I think it's a great idea that we've actually been able to advance this technology. Dan, your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought this is very cool. If anybody's ever seen some of the experiments that have been done with fluids and showing a visible reaction to sound waves, you can see wave fronts moving across surfaces as the sound does. And, that's the type of process they're using here. They're using very low frequency but very high intensity sound pressure waves to spread the source of the ignition between the layer of the fuel and the flame itself. If you spread that out, it cools it down and actually makes the fire go out if you get the sound pressure high enough.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
It's very cool.
Yeah, what this kind of reminds me of is like there was an episode of Star Trek. I'm going to geek out again here. Next Generation, they picked up these bumpkins off a planet that was disintegrating, and they were trying to start a fire in the cargo bay, and they said, "Lightning bolts are shooting out of the walls." So that might be the future of the technology right there. Joe, your thoughts?
When I was reading this article, it looked really interesting, and it sounds so plausible. And then I was so happy that at the bottom of the article they had a video of it actually working, of them using low frequency sound waves to extinguish a flame. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow, that's so cool. Because if they can make that into some kind of practical portable unit, then perhaps they could use it to fight wildfires and things like that without,
Oh, yeah.
destroying and property. I mean, when they dump a bunch of water into a building, the water does just as much damage as the fire.
Oh
So,
yeah, even more so, because they've got special. That's why they have these. A lot of companies are specialized in cleanup after a fire, because they know that there's going to be water damage. I just hope that, if I'm wondering now if there's going to be sound waves that are going to push these, extinguish these fires. If someone has computer monitors, TVs, whatever it is, I wonder if it's going to shatter that glass.
or can it hurt human hearing?
Yeah, it says amplified. It said they amplified the voice. This was on Mythbusters. They've amplified the voice to 149 decibels. So I think that might be a little bit close to damaged hearing. So I would imagine they would have to wear some kind of special protection.
In the video, when they put out the fire, that you could see a man standing next to it, so he was in the same room as them trying it. So.
Yeah, but that was a more directed. Yeah, I can see it. Yeah,
it was in like that tube thing.
Right, that was more directed sound. But if you're going to be out in the wild or everything, you're going to be blasting in all directions. It's not going to be more. I wouldn't think so. Of course, they have that truck that works for the military, that they basically just use sound waves and to keep off people from advancing, and that's just sound waves there too.
They use that on Whale Wars. If you've ever seen that show, the whaling ships will use sound wave devices to keep the protesters away from them.
No, I've actually never seen that movie or TV show. So, but I remember
it sounds like wee 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 wee, really high pitched.
Oh, really?
Which is very detrimental to the whales, actually.
Well, they're out whaling. I don't think they care.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
It's not just them. The Army does it too.
Yeah, that's the thing is, that's what I was going to say. The Army has that technology for crowd control. And they've said they've even tried getting up close to it in one way or the other, and there's just no way to do it. Vonnie, your thoughts?
Yeah, that's kind of a prelude to my comment, I guess, was that my question was going to be, I mean, it's wonderful. Oh, it's always wonderful when we find something that frees up a resource like water. But beyond putting out the fire, which would be fantastic, do we really know what the effects are on the environment and to the animals? We know what is happening to the wildlife in the water because of what we just talked about, and it's just, sometimes I love science, I love technology, but it makes me very sad when we overlook the nature around us and our animals, and you don't know, the trees, everything. This might actually stunt their growth, their health. So it bothers me when all that isn't tested first, or at least in conjunction with. Do we know if that's been tested?
I don't know. That's good. That's a good question. I don't know if that would hurt plant life, though. I mean,
you don't know.
I really don't think this is the type of thing that's going to be applicable over large areas, like if they have brush fires, forest fires.
Yeah, I think the fire would probably do more damage.
The way this appears, it's going to be very small, targeted areas.
Yeah, I think the fire would do much more damage than the sound would. So, in the long run. But anyway, all right, let's get into our next story here. Now, if you've ever had a camera and you kind of always had that thing you wanted to see something, but it's like just around the corner, you're just like, but you don't want to be stick your face around the corner to see it. Well, now they've got a camera that can actually see it around the corner for you. It's a concept of an X-ray vision. It's like X-ray vision. It might seem related to the realm of science fiction and, of course, superhero movies. The researchers in Israel have come up with a device that can actually see around the corners and through certain objects. It can't see through concrete just yet, or no brick walls. Potentially, it can see through skin. So there goes that whole thing. We talked about this a few episodes back, where we were talking about the I can see it in my head here, Total Recall, where Arnold Schwarzenegger runs across the platform and they see the gun, but they just see bone. And see, now if they use something like this, if it doesn't cause anything that's potentially harmful, we could be looking at a future X-ray scanner for airports. Possibly, maybe. Of course, I'm expanding the technology. Probably that's what it's going to be for, but it's kind of really cool. Dan, your thoughts?
I mean, I don't know where these people have been, but, you know, a couple of years ago, I was playing Resistance 2 and able to see through walls with some of the alien weaponry you get in that.
Yeah.
So,
Damn, where is that alien weaponry when you need it?
I know it. Yeah, this is very cool. You know, I play with my camera a lot. Nothing along these lines, but you know, being able to interpolate an image that's been distorted by something in between you and the image, whether it's, you know, they're trying to see through a smoke screen to where a sniper is hidden, or whether you're trying to see through a nebula to a galaxy that's, you know, way on the other side of it.
Yeah.
Those distortions keep you from seeing it, and this is a way to recover coherent imagery through whatever happens to be scattering the lights.
Oh, yeah.
It has a lot of applications down the road, I think.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And the airport would just be one of them. Joe, your thoughts?
I'm with Dan on this. This sounds very similar to adaptive optics, which astronomers use to cancel out the sloshing of the Earth's atmosphere so they could see stars more clearly.
Cool.
And the potential of this to create a new medical scanner is exciting because perhaps one day we'll have Dr. McCoy's tricorder.
Yes. There's actually been research in that, too, as I recall, because they were talking about being able to see around organs while they're working on an organ behind it. Like if you had to work on something on the on your pancreas or something, you can't just like pick the liver up and go, oh, we'll just move this over here. You know, we actually they were able to see right through it for that reason. But Vonnie, your thoughts?
Yeah, this is really great. Technology just rocks my socks. We just never stop learning about stuff like this to make things easier and more efficient. And I'm just thinking the peeping toms are probably going to really like this.
Yes, us peeping toms really see this. That'll make it a lot easier for us.
The technology.
Yes, no more having to point at our shoes. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I don't do that. I'm totally kidding.
They're gonna love this.
Yes.
Moving forward, as Dan said, you know, this is going to be probably. I mean, you start somewhere and then it just grows and expands into different things. I can probably see like the army, the police, those kinds of things as well. I'm sure the Navy, like they could probably benefit from this too.
Oh,
maybe.
yeah, absolutely.
Not on the same scale, but once it grows and becomes something different with the same technology, I can see it being very helpful for them too. Absolutely.
You know, especially out in the field, they've got all kinds of nifty gadgets and things, like the night scope visions. The original stuff for this came out. This stuff was huge, and now it just fits into a little scope.
Yeah.
And they can do so much more with it. And imagine if they add that to their night vision, and then there's the round the corner thing. They can go into dangerous situations. And there was I saw an article a while back about a gun that can actually shoot around the corner now too. So yeah, this was last year, and either that or we covered it. I don't remember which. But if they could shoot around the corner and they can see what they're shooting, man, that just makes it even safer for them. All right, let's get into our next topic.
Politics, 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 politics.
Now, there's a new voter ID laws that are coming to a lot of states, and at least 10 states. Now, there's a little bit of a mistake in this article, unfortunately. It requires voters. It says the voters that need to require photo identification. It will make it more difficult for millions of Americans to cast their ballots, and likely turn down minorities and the poor and people who cannot just get access to a voting place to get their proper ID. The problem here is if you don't have the proper identification, you have to get, and if you have to buy, say, you have to get a birth certificate, or you have to get other information to show that where you are at is who you are. That would to amount to a poll tax, which is illegal. Now, some of the states, it says here that this will impact. Now, this is where the problem is. It says Alabama, Georgia, Indiana, Kansas, Mississippi, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, and Wisconsin. Wisconsin has actually been stopped. There will be no voter ID because the two judges have already struck this down. They're still fighting. The GOP is still fighting for it, and the GOP have come out and they said, yeah. There was a senator. He basically gave out the game plan. And says, we just did this just so we can make sure we get Mitt Romney elected. They didn't say there was any problem with voter ID fraud. It was just to make sure they can get their presidential candidate elected, and that's all it is. There's more people who actually see UFOs, or claim they see UFOs, I should say, than there is voter ID fraud. And there's a lot of problems with the whole voter ID fraud. If you go and you choose to pretend to be somebody else, there's serious jail time involved. And we have talked about this on the show many times. And I sometimes I feel like I'm beating a dead horse on this, but the GOP, there is no voter ID fraud. This is the only ID fraud that's going on is in your mind. You know, you're thinking goofy thoughts. And if you're thinking that people are going to go out and 1-2 votes, is that going to really make a difference? Let's say it even happens. If you're going to get voter ID fraud, they're going to do it and we've got the computers, and I've seen this being done. They can actually change the count on the computers to whoever they want. That's where the voter fraud's going to happen. It ain't going to come from us. It's going to happen there. Dan, your thoughts?
Yeah, it's very blatant what they've been doing. You know, there is no rampant voter fraud. You know, voter fraud, and the voter fraud that happens is pretty much somebody's an ex-felon who happens to be in a state where ex-felons are not allowed to vote in the state elections, or someone who is not a citizen. You know, they've got their green card so that they're a registered alien, and they thought they were able to vote, but they're not able to vote. That's the kind of voter fraud that actually happens once in a great while. But
sometimes some of those are just accidental. They don't even realize. Some of them don't realize they're not allowed to vote. And then those people,
it's not something that, you know, is rampant corruption that they're trying to throw something over on everybody.
Right.
Now you have in Sauk City, Wisconsin. It's like, oh yeah, you can get an ID card to vote on the 5th Wednesday of every month.
Oh shit! Oh, the 5th Wednesday.
The 5th Wednesday. That's right. In 2012, there are 5 Wednesdays only in February, May, and August. That's the only time you're able to get an ID is 3 particular days. I think there's another day later, but it's after voting happens. So it's like there are 3 days this year when you were able to get an ID in Sauk City.
Yeah, I've been to Sauk City. It's a nice town, but if they're pushing this kind of idiocy, it's kind of it's just blatant stupidity and blatant. The real voter fraud is coming from the GOP who are pushing these laws where there is no voter ID issues. Yeah. They're trying to keep people from being able to vote. We should be able to.
It's voter suppression, plain and simple.
Exactly.
And the reason why the GOP tends to push this is because historically, the lower the voter turnout, the higher the vote count is swayed toward the Republican or conservative side.
Yeah, I've actually heard that, and it's really sad. It really is. I just wish the thing is we need to have more people engaged in voting, not less. And and I think that's what it boils down to. They know if more people vote, then their chances go down, and they don't want that. They don't want people to vote. The only people they want are rich white men. They don't want women. They don't want Hispanics. They don't want blacks. They don't want anybody else other than who they think is their party. And that being a white male, I'm not rich. That's the only thing I don't have is the rich part. But sometimes that makes me ashamed of that because they're targeting me in a roundabout fashion. But because I'm poor, that takes me out of the running for who they want to vote. If they could keep me from voting, I'm sure they'd say, you got to make so much money before you can vote. Otherwise, you're not really allowed to vote. You just wait. The GOP, that'll be the next thing on their agenda. If you don't make enough money, you can't vote. Joe, your thoughts?
Here in New York, to register to vote, you sign a card, you mail it in, and when you get to the polling place, they either have your ID card or a copy of it. Then you sign your name in a book, and they compare the signatures. And once you signed in the book, you can vote, but you can't vote again. And that's how they do it. It's real simple. You don't need to show your ID. And to require people to have an ID to go vote, and especially in states where they charge for these IDs, that's a polling tax.
Yes.
That's charging people to vote. And some people say, well, what's the big deal? You need ID to buy cigarettes and beer and stuff. Well, buying cigarettes and beer is not a right guaranteed by the Constitution.
That's right. That's
It's
exactly
voting
it.
is.
Exactly.
And some of these states, like to get your ID, you need a birth certificate. Being born in a hospital is recent. Like in the last maybe 2 generations, we were born in hospitals. Before that, people were born at home or on the farm.
Yes.
And to get a birth certificate meant dad had to go down to the courthouse and fill out some paperwork if he even knew how to read and write. So a lot of poor people, especially in rural areas, especially older poor people, have no birth certificates.
Yeah.
They have nothing. They have no documentation.
You know, the funny thing is, the first president who actually was born in a hospital was Jimmy Carter.
Yeah.
And he's the only one the president actually had a birth certificate, as far from a hospital. I'm assuming. I'm guessing for the other ones. I'm not really sure. I have to research that, but I know that about Jimmy Carter.
Well, Obama was born in Kenya.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So the GOP keep claiming Sheriff Idiot Arpaio or Arpaio or whatever his name is. He should just rename his name to just plain idiot.
He was born in a mosque in Kenya.
Oh,
Yeah.
I believe Sheriff Arpaio was born in a mosque in Kenya.
He should go live in a mosque in Kenya.
Oh yeah, I think they should. That guy is such a racist. It just boggles my mind. He's actually in some kind of a place of authority. I'm so glad the government's coming down hard on him for all the other crap he's got. But I digress for right now. Vonnie, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm not actually 100% sure how this works in Canada, but I think how it works is, well, for sure they do similar to what Joe described. You get a thing in the mail it's a notice, and you take that notice with you when you go vote.
Yeah.
That is the one process that I'm aware of, but I think that can't be the only one, because what if you're homeless?
That's
then
interesting.
what would you do?
I don't know.
So and I'm sure that's accounted for here. So I think there are different options available for voting here, and I think that is just one of them. There's even pre-voting here. You can do it. I think it's even online now. But I'm not sure how that process works exactly. And I know that photo ID is not a prominent thing. But, the thing with all of this is that just makes my head spin a little is that they really try to overcomplicate things. We have technology now, today, to have something as simple as a bank card, right?
Yes.
So why would the government, just like Visa, can issue you a credit card and a PIN number, and you get it in the mail, or you could go pick it up. In this case, you could go pick it up at the government office, accounting for those who don't have a residence or a home, but they are Canadian, where you could go get a government card that just basically, and if they wanted the picture, then fine, offer the picture. But I don't think that we should have to pay for it.
Right.
You should just, look, this is a requirement that, the province or state or whatever is putting out there, then they should provide every allowance to make sure that every person has the required whatever it is.
Yeah.
If it's a card with a picture, then they should make sure that at no cost that's provided to people. I just don't know why they have to make it so complicated.
Yeah, it's they make it complicated so you go, oh, I can't believe I got to go through all this just to vote. Well, screw it. I'm going to go home. I'm going to go home and watch Power Rangers or
that is the thing. I think you're absolutely right in that if it is not easy, and nowadays this generation, if it's not at the tips of their fingers, they're not going to bother doing it. I hate to think that the government, it's too global, I don't know, but I hate to think that the government or people in the government are just saying, we want to stick it to the poor people. I just think it's a matter of they don't care. It's like, well, if they don't want to, take the initiative and it's their own fault or whatever. It's just that they overlook them all the time. The people who need to vote more than anyone are the people in poverty.
Absolutely.
Those are the voices that need to be voting.
Yes.
And those are the voices that get overlooked, such as what we're talking about now.
Absolutely.
It's like, what about them? We need to make it as easy as possible. I don't care if you're a millionaire or the poorest person. You should have the same accessibility to vote.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Now, you brought up an interesting point there. People who are homeless. I don't know what the laws are about people who are homeless. I think they do have to have an established residence to at least get a driver's license and they have some kind of ID for that, and that would allow it to vote. And you also brought up you're allowed to vote online.
This is Canada, mind you.
Yeah, mind you, yes, of course. I think there are some inherent problems with being able to vote online. I mean, that is the future. But I mean, for right now, I think the technology.
I agree.
What's that?
There always will be.
Yeah.
But I think that I think there's a few more hoops you have to go through to do it online.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not quite as easy. It's pretty stringent. I don't think that your homeless person, for example, may not have the required. And I don't know because I haven't tried it. I only know that it's available, but I don't know what those hoops are. Yeah. So, and it's, yeah, you're right, though. There's really big issues involved with that. But, you know.
Yeah. Like I said, yeah, there's a lot of hoops to go through to get it to vote. I mean, if the system is secure. Unfortunately, no system is 100% secure, so there's always going to be an issue. I mean, look at Apple right now. They got a problem with their in-line purchases. Those Russian hackers got it set up so you can buy stuff from inside the application without having to actually pay for it. So there's always going to be issues we're going to have to come across and deal with first. And I think that's the one thing we need to address before we would actually go online. Because there's just too much stuff that can just go wrong.
Absolutely. I just think that we need to stop overlooking those people who aren't voting. We need to, instead of just overlooking them all the time, we need to say, well, they need to say,
Yeah.
What can we do to make it more accessible for everybody? And that's, to me, I mean, this is an ongoing issue. I think it's always been an ongoing issue.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's just, it's such a no-brainer.
Yeah. Well, for us, it's a no-brainer because we actually think about this stuff, and we're not trying to suppress the vote from everybody else. We actually want everybody to vote. The Republicans, they don't want people to vote.
No, I don't think they do.
Yeah, I don't think, and they put up all these roadblocks. And like I said, that one senator came out. I wish I had the audio clip here, but I don't. There's an audio that he actually said, "Yeah, we're just trying to make sure we get people we can vote against Barack Obama. We don't care about." Basically.
Yeah, and you see, the thing is, I don't think it's that they don't want people to vote. I'll say one thing about Republicans, and it's the same here with the conservatives, in that you have to at least recognize one thing. And for me, it's this. They are not lazy.
Oh, no.
They do vote.
Yep.
And they tend to be the ones with the money.
Yeah. That's like I said.
If they don't care that they're blocking the people who can't vote, because the people who can't vote are typically going to be liberal.
Yeah.
I think that's I don't have stats to show.
Well, there's also saying that if it rains, you're going to get more Republicans than Democrats, or if it snows, you'll get more Republicans than Democrats because
it's true. It's true. The Republican conservative type people. There is something to that in that if liberals really, if they wanted to ramp it up a little bit, they need to get off their ass. I don't mean to be rude, but that's
go ahead. No, that's fine.
They need to get up and get moving because that is the difference, and that's why GOP and whatever conservative party it might be. Yeah, they hustle.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, they do because they know that they get their party and that they can get their tax breaks.
They know if they make the noise, somebody's going to hear them. They're the ones actually getting off their heinies and doing stuff, and
throwing their money around too.
But that's why they always seem to get ahead is because they get off their butts.
Yeah, and they have lots of money. They have enough money to throw around. Speaking of money,
Oh, yeah, that too.
yeah. Speaking of money, on to our next story here. New Republican tax will eliminate 11 billion. That's 11 billion with a B. From tax credits for working families. So if you're a working person in the family, if you have a mother or father, or just a mother or just a father in a working family, and you're getting tax credit, so you can afford to buy the little things in life like food, or health insurance, or just regular insurance. Like here in Wisconsin, we're compelled to buy car insurance. It's the state law. To buy insurance in this state.
Yeah, too.
But back in 2000, it says here, among the many other policies enacted in 2009's American Recovery and Reinvestment, the stimulus, yes, I can talk tonight. $11 billion in tax credits to low and moderate income families are going to be cut because of the Republican tax plan. Now, they don't want to tax the rich, the ones that have the money, the ones that can afford to, not buy a car this year, say, oh, we want you to buy a new car every year. No, in matter of fact, just go buy a new one every 6 months and just have a whole line of cars in your parking lot, and then have multiple houses. There's people out there struggling just to pay for rent where they're living, or just struggling to make their house payments, but they want the ultra rich to keep as much money as they can, and they want to stick it to everybody else. I've said this on Twitter a few times. The GOP, they want to. It's gonna sound a little bit inflamed here, but GOP basically want us dead, or at least want us out of the way. They don't want. They don't want to pay for. They don't want us to have money to buy food or health care or anything like that. They just don't care because they have the money. They want to hold on to it with iron fist. And then there's people who say, oh, well, if they've got the money, then they'll trickle it down to us, and then we can eat. Oh, that's like, oh, you're going to give us the scraps off your plate. Thank you so very much. My thimble runneth over.
And
really.
They wouldn't anyway.
Exactly. And we've gone through this. Trickle down economics does not work. It's been proven. It's a fallacy, and
It is.
It needs to go away. Dan, your thoughts?
Yeah, this is just another example of the oligarchy we're living in. The power, all the political power, is in the hands of the wealthy, and they want to keep it that way because that allows them to be even more wealthy. It's really disgusting. I saw something came out the other day. The Walton family, Sam Walton's kids that own Walmart. Those people, but five or six of them, I think. Those people own more money than the entire lower 40% income-wise of the United States combined. In other words, 40% of the people in this entire country could put all their money together, and it wouldn't match what those six people have.
Damn, that's a lot of cash. Those guys are sitting on a ton of cash. That's just sick. I mean, then what are they going to do with all this money? I mean, start their own space programs? I mean, come on.
By elections.
By
elections.
Yeah, exactly.
They're going to buy more congressmen and buy more senators and make sure that they keep the money that they've got and get more of it because nobody else matters.
Yeah. It says here that one of the credits they're going to kill is the child tax credit. The ARRA dropped the amount of income household must earn to qualify. So if anybody earns from more than $12,500, you're going to be getting less money back for your child care. I mean, before it was like $1,000 per child. So if you had a couple children, you get
It dropped the requirement from $12,500 down to $3,000 for the amount you have to earn to qualify for the credit, and that's going to expire, and they're not going to let let it extension, and the threshold's going to be 13,300. So there's going to be, almost 9 million families that aren't going to get this credit next year, and they're going to be out more money, and they're not going to be able to spend that money. So the places that they would be shopping aren't going to get that money.
Right.
The local people that would be benefiting from it aren't going to get that money.
All right, let me back up on this for just a second. Let me just is this the yearly salary? It would be 1,200 or would be 13,300 rather. Is that would be the max they could make, or they would have to make less than that?
Right now they have. If you make $3,000, if the income is $3,000, you can get this credit. Mm-hmm. Next year, if they let this thing expire, that goes up to $12,500. So if you make less than $12,500, you're not going to be able to qualify for this tax credit.
Oh, all right. Now I see where you're going with that. Okay. So all right. So if they make
those 9 million families that can get that credit this year, next year they won't be able to.
Oh, that'll be me. I'm totally screwed now, and I don't like it. And I didn't even bring any lube. Joe, your thoughts?
These tax exemptions are targeted for middle and low income families with kids. It's hinges on whether or not you have kids, how many kids you have. Like they want to increase it from like you're eligible if you have 1 kid, but now you have to have 3 kids to be eligible. Mm-hmm. Things like that. And altogether, it's going to cost $11 billion. And that sounds like a lot. And it is.
Yeah.
But not taxing religion costs $71 billion a year.
At least.
So where is the priority?
Yeah. Oh, we can't. We can't tax religion because those godly people need to build 10,000 churches all over the place here, so people can go sit on their knees.
Mm-hmm.
Please.
Yeah, I found one article. New York City loses $36 million a year by not taxing religion. So it's crazy. It's really crazy. Like
you want to make my head explode tonight, don't you, Joe?
$11 billion for families with kids versus forget it.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. If they would tax the churches, we could pull the seeds out of the hole. But of course, then they'd say, "Oh, now you got to make even more money just to get." But of course, then if you're making more money, then you don't need this. I think that's their whole. Their whole plan. It's like, if you make this much money, then you really don't need this money because you're making that money. So the logic of this is just completely nuts.
Put it in perspective. The entire budget of NASA is less than $15 billion a year, and that's everything NASA does. All of the spaceships, all of the space probes, all of the satellites, all of the research into making airplanes more fuel efficient. Everything that NASA does is less than $15 billion a year.
Damn. 15 billion.
Yeah. So it's crazy, and that includes the space station. That includes when the space shuttle program was running. That everything.
Well, they're not running the space shuttle now. We're going over to Russia and hitch a ride from them. Right. So you cut off $1 billion right there. Right. Just in
but
fuel.
Still, to put what is $1 billion? Well, $15 billion is NASA.
Yeah.
$71 billion is religion.
I'm going to go to the church, knock on the door, and say, "Where's your tax money? You're screwing us all, people." I think that would be a great idea. Make up signs, put it on the front door of the church, on churches across the nation, and go, "Tax the church." You don't have to do nothing, no violence. Just put a sign on there saying "Tax the church" in big, bold letters, and then just you're not vandalizing because you're putting on a piece of card and you just attach. You're like with sticky tape or something and put it on their doors. I mean,
just get some bumper stickers made up and put them on your car.
There we go. Tax the church.
Tax religion.
Tax religion. I think I've seen that one a few places. Vonnie, your thoughts?
Sorry, I was having trouble with the mute button. Okay, this is going to take a minute because I'm making notes. But first of all, can I see a note of interest there?
Sure.
Do you know that the Earth has its own ring of satellites? Like literally, we have so many satellites up in space now that we, like Saturn, we have a ring.
Yeah, it's all junky.
Yeah, That I only learned that a few months ago, and I'm still so torn about how I feel about that. But anyway, in terms of churches, let's go a step further, because the reason I think churches get the break is because they're non-profitable. So they say, non-profitable organizations, and in my opinion, non-profit or profit, I don't care. You should have to pay taxes. We all pay taxes. That's what we do, and we all contribute, and we all benefit from it. That's the whole point of taxes.
Yeah.
So I find it extremely ironic that an organization that says, oh, but we're about giving.
Yeah.
Really? You're about giving, are you? That's why everybody else has to pay taxes and you don't.
Yeah. And that's why
everyone else has to contribute to the well-being of our society, but you don't.
Yeah.
But what, you're going to have a little potluck, like 3 times a year, you're going to have a little potluck and feed people, and now you're a non-profit organization. So I think whether it's a church or not, it doesn't matter. Non-profit organizations, I don't care who you are, you should have to contribute to your society.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And that is how we do it. We do it through taxes.
And we should, I think if this is going to sound kind of asinine, but if you vote Republican, you should be taxed 3 times the amount.
But I mean,
well, that's not
seriously,
fair.
that is like a no-brainer solution. And
I didn't say it was going to be. I didn't say it was going to be fair. I just said, if you vote Republican, then you get taxed 3 times as much. Maybe that's an incentive to vote Democrat.
No, I don't think they should have to pay more, and I don't think we should have to pay more.
No. I'm totally kidding on that.
Yeah, I know. I don't think they should have to get tax breaks either, though. Like, I don't understand that either. In that, like, I don't have actually a problem with people making money. But I don't care how much money a person makes. But at the end of the day, they should not be getting any more privileges than anyone else. Everyone should have the same formula when it comes to tax time. Everyone should have the same breaks, the same privileges, the same perks.
Yeah, that's called the flat tax. We really haven't touched base on that on the show too much. A little bit we have, but not a whole lot. I think there's some.
Well, it works in other countries.
Oh yeah, there's some good. There's some pros and cons to it. Because I don't think I want to pay as much as the richest guy in the world does.
Well, to be honest, are the people who are under a certain amount of income, and here it is called low income, and I was in low income for most of my adult life. What happens is you do pay in the same all year long, but you can get a rebate. If your income was only this much, then those low income people will actually get a rebate.
Oh. Yeah, there was actually President Obama was actually talking about, and I don't know why this didn't get much more press. That if you make less than $250,000 a year, you don't pay any taxes. You
less than $250,000 a year, you don't have what?
Yeah,
who makes $250,000 a year? That's not low income. You're living on the freaking high hog.
Oh yeah, I think so too. But
what,
I think
you don't.
Yes, I'm sitting.
That's not even a middle class income. That's a rich income. What?
Yeah, no, that's what I saw this. Maybe I put another extra zero in there.
If it was 250, no one would pay taxes.
Yeah, I think there was some kind of tax break. I don't remember. I saw that tweet. I didn't get a chance to really look at it really hard, but I thought, well, hey, I'd like to get back all my tax money. That'd be great.
Yeah, well, to put it in perspective, low income here, and I don't know what the figure is, but I can tell you that it's probably around $40,000 a year.
Yeah, that could probably be. It's probably 25,000. It's probably 25,000. Yeah, it's probably 25,000 and not the 250,000. That's what I'm thinking of.
That sounds more like it. And if you're living on 25,000, holy moly, you're barely.
I'm gonna go buy myself a gold plate toilet now.
That's struggling hard, right? So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get on to our next topic.
Give me the news.
Now, the FDA has finally approved the first pill to help in preventing HIV. This is a long time coming. Now, the Food and Drug Administration, when it comes to drugs, especially in this country, they have a tendency to drag their heels and make things take longer and longer than sometimes I think it should. But some people say that they're trying to make sure that the drugs that we get are safe for us to have. There's a lot of people out there who, even with all these strenuous tests, there's still always an issue somewhere. But in this instance, they finally have come through with a pill that you could take. It would help spread, help spread. It'll help prevent the spread of HIV. I mean, this is a good start. Now, I mean, there's no substitution for being safe when you're having sex. If you make sure you're wearing a condom or taking other measures to make sure that you are protecting yourself and the person you're with from viruses. But I think that this would be the first step towards other treatments down the road. I mean, maybe just down the street from this one will be a cure for AIDS. Who knows? Dan, your thoughts?
Yeah, this is very cool. The FDA has been very good in the past few years, especially about fast tracking medications that are, in the works, and they're awaiting approval, and there are people basically out there dying while they're waiting for drugs to be approved.
Yes.
It's another step where they've taken the initiative to say, okay, we need to get this out there now, while the rest of the tests are continuing to prevent further deaths. Now, of course, the ultra-conservative religious right, when this news came out earlier this week, started hopping up and down and yelling about the gay agenda. And it's like, the days when AIDS and HIV was exclusively associated with homosexuality was, let's say it was about 30 years ago. Mm-hmm. And that's where it should have ended. These idiots keep on harping on this stuff. This is not God's retribution against gays. This is a disease that is prevalent among homosexuals and heterosexuals. Mm-hmm. Oddly enough, though, not among homosexual women. But it knows no boundaries. Your religion is not going to keep you from getting AIDS.
Absolutely. I remember hearing this on one of my podcasts I listened to, and they were talking about this religious guy, or it was a woman, I forget which. I guess it doesn't matter. They were working with HIV people, and they thought, oh, well, my religion's going to keep me safe from getting HIV and getting AIDS and everything. And turns out they got it, and they're like, why didn't God protect me? It's like, dude, or dudette, whoever, that, hey, this is a disease. You cannot, religion is not going to protect you. It doesn't give you an invisible force field from diseases. It just doesn't work. If you can catch a cold, and I'm sure they do, you think that your religion or prayer or your faith is going to keep religion or keep AIDS off of you? That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And the fact that they think this is a gay agenda, that just shows even more of their stupidity. I've actually talked to people. I've asked them this question, and this is a good question to ask them. Go up to your religious friend sometime, and if they happen to bring the story up, ask them if there was a pill you could take. If you could take just one pill, and you'd never be able to get a sickness again. Not a cold, not AIDS, nothing that's transmittable. And most of them will say, no, I don't want to have a thing like that, because they want to see people suffer. They think that it's their God's plan to make people suffer for whatever they're doing. Because if they don't like what they're doing, if they're sleeping with the wrong person, or they're sleeping with someone that they're not married to, they think they should get a disease as punishment. And I think that's completely wrong. Joe, your thoughts?
Once again, science for the win. This treatment requires a daily pill, and it's hard enough to convince people to use condoms. So I think the people that will most benefit from this are couples where one person has HIV and the other one does not.
Yeah.
Which the article does mention.
There was a this was a few weeks ago. There's a guy. He actually has he had some kind of bone cancer, and they did a bone transplant. And the person that they gave him the bone transplant to, he had AIDS, and now he doesn't have it anymore because the guy had a natural immunity to it. And they're trying to figure out how this guy got this natural immunity to this. And
Now, is he the guy where they like took out his blood and warmed it up a little bit, and then put it back in?
no, that's somebody else. That was years ago. This is a totally new one. This is over in Sweden, I believe. They did a bone marrow transplant, and he had a natural immunity apparently to this.
I remember reading about that.
Yeah. So I mean, if they could figure out how he has a natural immunity to this, I think we would be well on our way to a cure. But that's just down the road still. I heard about the blood warming thing. Basically take the blood out of their body, you cook it, and then you throw it back in. And it's like, okay, I don't think anybody would want to go through this procedure. There's just so much problems that could go wrong with that. Yeah, Vonnie, your thoughts?
Okay, this one's a long one too. Okay,
we got time. You go right ahead.
Sorry, I won't be back for a while though. I want to just touch on one thing that you mentioned there earlier, because I think it's always good to get this awareness bit out, in the fact that we see a lag, and often the lag when it comes to medicine is because of funding. There are tons of technology and remedies and research on the brink of discovery sitting on a shelf right now as we speak that we don't even know about because they don't have adequate funding, money to begin or continue. Some research gets off the ground, but then they run out of money and there's nothing they can do. So they have to wait till they get more funding, and so they can continue the research and continue their testing. Yeah. So there is a lot of reasons behind the scenes as to why it takes things so long to actually get on the shelf to us. But if there's one thing that we should all be donating to, having said that, is, don't just donate to the cancer or the big ones that you always hear about. There's tons of different sites in regards to what can I donate to for science, and if you even Googled that, you would find out there's a lot of projects that need money right now. Yes, and that's how they get it is from us, just like Cancer Society and everything else. But they unfortunately don't have the advertising. They're not as well known, so we don't know about them. So we're not paying into it. And you see how the cycle goes. And in terms of HIV. That's had rapid growth. If you compare it to other diseases that have had decades of research before HIV come along. And I will say, just for Hollywood in this one instance, I will credit them, because I think if it weren't for the actors and actresses so avidly involved and donating to that cause. I think it's come a long way because of them. And that, again, it's money, right? Yeah. That's what moves things along. But
speaking of AIDS and HIV here, it's sort of a related story, but it's something I had learned recently. I didn't know this. There was a lot of speculation on this, and I didn't know it, and I would like to pass it along so everybody who's listening to the show can get. If they know it, then great. If they didn't, maybe they learned something. That the AIDS started, it did start over in Africa, okay? But the stories I heard growing up was like, oh, someone was having sex with a monkey. It's like, who would want to have sex with a monkey? The thing was, there was monkeys that had a form of HIV or AIDS over there, but they did it from having sex with it. They got it from eating the monkie. This was part of their actual diet. They were
eating the monkey flesh raw, actually.
Yeah, and it wasn't properly prepared, wasn't cooked. I'm not sure how you cook monkey. It's not on my menu. But anyway, they didn't realize that these monkeys had this infection, and it jumped to humans. And from that point, that's where we got it, and it just ended up jumping around, and
it mutates very, very quickly.
Yes. And if they had caught this, if someone had said, "Hey, don't eat that," or throw that thing in the barbecue a little longer,
would you like to borrow my watch?
They didn't know. That's right, and it was so widespread. Throw it on the barbecue. Oh my God, I'm trying not to throw up. thing.
Would you like Would you like some corn with that and some peas with that, monkey?
Stop.
No, but no,
But you know
it's
what
not
else
right.
is sad, though? Don't you think that this is just another example of, oh yeah, we're a charitable society?
Yeah.
What about the society, that charitable society, well, called the Vatican, who actually goes out of their way to discourage people from using condoms, the easiest way to prevent yourself from getting it?
Yeah.
That makes me sick to my stomach.
Yeah, that's because they don't have any scientific training. I've said this on the show many times. They don't. The Pope has no scientific training. He has no medical knowledge whatsoever.
It wouldn't matter even if he did know all the facts. And you know what? I'll bet you he does. That's not their agenda. Their agenda is to overpopulate, to dominate, and the only way to do that is with population.
Yeah.
And so, that's what they've always done. As long as religion has survived, that's how it's survived.
Right. All right. Well,
to dominate.
Well, we have really got into this story a lot more. This isn't even the religious section, folks.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Tied in. I couldn't let
it ties. No, it does. But
saying it.
No, but you're absolutely right. It does tie in, and every topic on the show it ties in with something else on the show, and that's the way it blends. Okay, next story here. Police officer who downloaded extreme animal porn walked free from court after claiming he didn't realize it was illegal. I mean, really? No. I mean, how many times if someone gets stopped by the police officer and says, you made a left turn where you weren't supposed to, oh, I'm sorry, officer, I didn't realize it was illegal. Doesn't matter. You still got a ticket. You still got busted for it's an infraction. It's not crime. It's an infraction. But if I had, let's say I go to the bank and I robbed a bank, and I walked out with the money, and they take me as like, I didn't know it was illegal. I just said, hey, just give me all your money, And they didn't say it was I didn't know it was illegal. Come on now, really? That's just blatantly stupid. I mean, how can somebody? The guy watched 60 videos, downloaded 12 movie clips, and looked at almost 5,000 images. That's a lot of animal porn stuff. I don't know I don't know what I don't know what kind of pictures he was really looking at. It says a document. He says it was a documentary. I did it out of curiosity, watching people having sex with animals. There's a lot of things that people are real hard up for. I mean, you can't get a date. Fluffy's over there, and Fluffy's looking kind of good right now. No. Leave Fluffy alone.
No fluff for you.
No fluff for you. Dan, your thoughts?
Yeah, the first thing I thought of when I saw this article was a phrase in Latin, ignorantia juris non excuset. In other words, ignorance of the law is no excuse.
Exactly. I had that same thought when I was reading this article.
If it had been, if it had been anyone but a police officer or a politician, they'd be in jail doing jail time. Mm-hmm. It's, ignorance of the law is no excuse, and they will tell that to people who are in cuffs and headed to jail all the time. Just because you didn't know it was illegal doesn't mean what you did wasn't illegal.
That's right.
And what he did was illegal.
Yes.
And it's crazy.
Yeah.
It just, it depends on who you are, how the law is applied to you.
Yes. And I like the comment here. It says, Detective Chief Inspector Dave Evanson of the Lincolnshire Police Professional Standards Department said in the investigation, it should serve as a warning to other officers. Oh, it's just a warning to other officers. So I guess since he was the first one ever caught, they're just going to give him a warning. This is why that's another reason why he walked away. He said, oh, you're just the first one. Okay, so let's say the first murder that happened. Oh, you didn't know that was illegal? Well, we're gonna let you go, but nobody else does it. What kind of mentality would that be? I mean, it's like, or say no one, the first person in your family to would say, "Oh, stole something from a store." Oh, well, now you're going to serve as a warning to the other people in your family. That would basically be more of a better correlation, because the police consider themselves a family in a respect, and so if someone has their older brother does a crime, you get a slap on the wrist. You do the same thing, you'll get taken away, or maybe you'll get a bigger slap on the wrist. Who knows? Joe, your thoughts?
I know it's my turn to talk, but for like the last 5 minutes, I've been deleting all the animal porn from my computer. I always learn what's illegal from this podcast.
Save some for me.
La, la,
No, I'm
la,
kidding.
la, la, la.
But yeah, I mean,
You got that at PackardPokes.wordpress.com, didn't you?
This guy, he saw a documentary on TV. He was curious. He Googled it. He looked at some stuff, and then he didn't look at it anymore. And a year went by, and his house got raided. And he threw up his hands and said, "I didn't know it was illegal." And so I can kind of understand, you know, the court being a little soft on him. However, in his sentence, he got 3 months of curfew.
Curfew.
Isn't keeping him inside at night how he got in trouble in the first place?
I would say so.
He's going to be a repeat offender.
Yeah. You know, that actually brings me to something else. Knowing technology the way I do, everybody that's here, even the people listening to us on the podcast, or people who are listening to the show later, they probably have some form of child pornography on their system, and they don't even know it. Because there have been instances like he said he didn't, you know, he was just curious, Googled it, the images download to the cache, and it sits there. And he goes, okay, you know, and he goes away, moves away from the page. That stays there.
That's exactly what they found on this guy's computer. It was all saved in the cache of his browser.
Yep. And if you come to let's say let's say you want to Google the book Little Women. You just type in Little Women, and you get young girls, and you have, because you have your safe search turned off, and you get child porn on you. You're like, oh my gosh, and you close the page. You've now got child porn on your computer. You don't even realize it. It's still there, and if you take that computer in to be serviced because you got a virus, because you went to the wrong site, or you just need a memory upgrade, or whatever you need to have done to your computer, and they find this, boom, you're busted, and you didn't even realize it was there. I mean, I feel for, if that's the case, it was sitting there, if he just got curious and just like, oh, okay, and went away from it, I feel a little bit bad for him. But the fact is, he's a cop. He should have known that this was wrong. I mean, come on, really. And the fact that, I wonder if he did this at home or he did this on his work computer. You know, if he does the work computer, then he gets everything he deserves. Vonnie, your thoughts?
I think hearing Joe, the circumstances actually do sound reasonable, and whether he should have known or shouldn't know, I mean, that's neither here nor there. The circumstances are what they are, and it doesn't sound nearly as malicious as I thought of at first. But I'm still horrified by the fact that there's even that out there. I'm so horrified by it.
That's what we do here on the show. We make sure we traumatize our guest hosts.
And don't let the
People
curiosity
are so
catch you, because
strange.
it might be illegal where you are.
Yes.
But anyway.
Having sex on the moon, is it illegal? Let's find out at 9. You know, there's always going to be something that somebody doesn't like, you know. But anyway.
But that's animal abuse, and that's
yeah.
whole nother level of horrified there.
Some people would say that's not, because the animal's going right at it. Yeah, they like it. It's like, okay, but it's still abuse because you're tricking the animal. The animal doesn't know any better. I mean, exactly. That's like getting somebody drunk and say, "Hey, let's go and have sex." Okay, yeah, but that's a type of abuse. That's a form of rape, and I suppose can you rape an animal? I don't know. Not something I want to think about tonight. Anyway.
You know, Dawkins' dog did some racy films back in college, but he was just young and a puppy back then.
Oh, yes, that's so I've heard. No, I'm just kidding, Dawkins' dog. Just kidding. Okay, let's get into our next topic. Yeah. Now, a federal judge in Tennessee has paved the way for them to open a mosque for Ramadan. I mean, I'm kind of mixed emotions. I'm glad that the federal judge has stepped forward and said, hey, it says freedom of religion. That's the first amendment to our Constitution, freedom of religion, which also means freedom from religion, which allows people like us, atheists, to not have to deal with that crap. At least, I'd like to think so anyway. But the people down in Tennessee, they had built this mosque, and after 9/11, everybody went Muslim crazy. All Muslims are bad. Not all Muslims are bad. They're just people like everybody else. Some are more fundamentalists, and some are more normal people. Like, there are some, regular Christians, like Christian Light, I like to call them. And then there's your more adamant fundies out there who are just off the wall crazy. And I would like to say to those people who are off the wall crazy, you want to be that way? Go live in Iran. You want to talk about fundamentalism? You go out there. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. It's my show, damn it. But the federal judge, he made this possible for this mosque to be open for their religious ceremonies, and there was a lot of people down in Tennessee that didn't like this to happen. They didn't want this to happen because they didn't want Muslims in their community, because they think this is a Christian nation. This is not a Christian nation. This is a secular nation. If you want to believe that whatever, if you want to believe the flying spaghetti monster, or you want to believe that Muhammad can't be drawn because he's invisible or whatever, or you think that nailing some guy to 2 sticks of wood is your savior, then believe what you want. Just don't bring it into my backyard. Dan, your thoughts?
Yeah, there are a lot of people that are on the very far right conservative religious side that are under the impression that we are a Christian nation, and that freedom of religion means you can be whatever kind of Protestant you want. And it's really frightening. Yeah. Because as much as they detest Muslims, we atheists are despised even more.
Yes.
These people have a right to worship as they see fit. They have a right to have the same protections that anyone else has. And, it's just because they aren't Christian is the reason why these people in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, were so out and out against it. And it wasn't all the people in Murfreesboro or all the Christians in Murfreesboro. There were other Christian churches down in the area who were allowing the imam and Muslims in the area to come and worship at an area at their church while the construction was going on. And there's a lot of good feelings between the groups because of this.
Yeah.
And there's still a lot of bad feelings because of the really ultra-conservative people. And that's the kind of people that are fighting tooth and nail to hold on to what they have, and it's falling away from them because people are leaving their churches in droves, and rightly so, because they're bigots.
Yeah, a lot of them are just. I've had several conversations with some people there on Twitter. It's like they don't want to deal with these people anymore. That's one of the reasons why they're leaving church, because they're dealing with all these religious nuts. They're like, they don't want to talk to gay. They want gays in their church, and the ones that are allowing the churches that are allowing gays in their church, they don't want to have anything to do with them, because it's like, oh well, my book says this, and we should stone these people to death. It's like, or we just shun them or whatever. It's like, these are people. They need. They want to, if they want to believe in a magical sky fairy, or the spaghetti monster, have at it, Haas. That's fine. But the fact is that they're turning against these people, and I'm glad that they're turning away from these religions. Some of them are actually going out and saying, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and then they turn into an atheist, and it's like, oh yeah, we need more. We do need more in our ranks. Unless you get those really extreme atheists like write letters, then those are the worst ones. Damn those atheists that write letters. Totally kidding.
We just use words.
We just use words. Words! Words are so bad!
Those atheists,
they make you think!
their stupid logic. And
yeah, with that logic stuff. Can't use that stuff. It just makes my brain hurt. Oh!
the hammer of the Webster's Dictionary. Oh,
yeah.
Feel the wrath.
I got a dictionary here. Don't make me use this. Oh! Joe, your thoughts?
Yeah, the Tennessee mosque. This has been in the news for a couple years now, and while I don't agree with religion, bigotry is still bigotry, and religious people have been warring and picking on each other for religious differences since the dawn of religion. And this mosque, they're trying to build it, and people have gone over there and vandalized it. They even set it on fire once. And some guy all the way from Texas called in a bomb threat.
Jeez.
So it's like, I mean, it's the same as like what was called the Ground Zero Mosque in New York City. They wanted to build a mosque, and it was like 6 blocks away from Ground Zero. It wasn't near it, like really near it. But there's a church, a Christian church, right across the street from the World Trade Center site. Yeah. I've been there. I've been inside the church. It is like literally like across the street. Debris from the towers falling landed in the graveyard of this church.
You know, the thing about that, Joe, is as I recall hearing, there was actually a mosque that was actually closer to the 9/11 area there than the one they were that they wanted to build.
Mm-hmm. And it was like 2 blocks away. It had no sign on it, and because nobody really knew about it, they were like, oh well, So like, what's the difference? There's a church across the street. There's a mosque 6 blocks away. It's the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, I've talked to some atheists on Twitter that's like they don't like Muslims at all because some of them were in the military. They've seen the crap that they've done, and some of them, not all of them, obviously. Don't fatwa me. No, I was kidding. Fatwa me. Find me. See if you can find me. I'm bouncing off of satellites. Damn it. No, because they don't want mosques built anywhere either. Because of the fact is they've dealt with some of these people and they know what some of them are capable of, and I can understand that. And
that's still bigotry because it's painting them all with the same brush. I mean, I know Muslims. I know some. Like I can, I'm friends with this guy named Babu. He works at the local gas station. I've known him for years, and he's Muslim. Yeah,
it's just, and exactly that would be bigotry in that case. I mean, I always say I'm not a bigot. I hate everybody equally. It's like, you're a hater. Yeah, I hate everybody equally. So you're on the same level as everybody else. So I don't like you any more than anybody else, and I don't dislike you any more than anybody else. So it's an even platform right there. So, but they don't see this in their mind when I tell them. Vonnie, your thoughts?
Does anyone else see the irony in this? Because it's so funny. It's the Muslims. Okay, for example, the Muslims here, any Muslim I've ever met here in Canada, have been nothing but lovely people. And the reason they live in Canada is because they couldn't stand the extremity of their religion in their homeland. Kind of the same thing. The same way moderate Christians in America feel about their homeland right now. Mm-hmm. Same reason Christians are leaving America, because they can't stand the extremity of it. Yeah. They just want to be peaceful, loving people. Yeah. So see the irony? It's like, oh no, don't let those Muslims in. They're just as bad.
Oh yeah.
They want to dominate just as much. They throw it down people's throats just as much, and Christians alike are sick of it.
Yeah, I mean, religion itself, it just wants to dominate because it's about control.
To dominate, yeah, it's designed to dominate.
Yes,
and of course, America, there's the fundamental Christians in America. To me, remind me of Islamic. It's trying to differentiate between white and beige. It's the same thing. Mm-hmm. And and they don't want to share. And they've had such a free pass to be, the shining little bully for so long, and they know that, that the Islam religion is just as aggressive as they are. And they don't want to share. They don't want to have any, because they want to dominate.
Yeah, all these desert religions, they just want. That's exactly what they want to do. They've had 2,000 years to build their sales pitch and find the loopholes and the things that people are afraid of, and go, oh well, if you don't believe in this, this, and this, you're gonna burn in hell. You know,
the only difference between mythology and theology is better marketing.
Yeah.
That's it.
I like that. I'm gonna better theology through marketing.
It just came to me, actually. I should tweet that.
You should tweet that.
Somebody write that one down.
Should I tweet that? Should I not tweet that?
Somebody write that down. Better marketing through theology.
Yeah, they just had better marketing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's about it. Somebody quick write that down. I'm going to say I like that one.
I'm going to tweet it right now.
There you go. All right, well, on to our next story here. Speaking of theologies, a former Scientologist accuses the church of forcing her to have an abortion, false imprisonment, sleep deprivation, brainwashing, and harsh punishments in an explosive lawsuit. Apparently, this woman, her name is Laura Ann DiCasendo from New Mexico, accused the church of all these things back when she was a member from 91 and just at age 12 until 2004. Now, the claim, it throws a spotlight on the controversial religion, of course. I don't call it a religion. It's a cult. Of course, I call all religions cults.
They are cults.
So, and some people disagree with me and say, no, they're not cults because they're organized. It's like, I don't care how organized they are.
Cults are organized.
Exactly. Organized cults.
That's what makes it a cult.
That's exactly it. You got you nose. You got it on the nose there, Vonnie. They're all cults. I mean, I don't care if you're Christian, Muslim, Pentecostal, Baptist, Southern Baptist, Northern Baptist, Eastern Baptist, Western Baptist. I could sit here all night and just name the different sects because there's over 80,000 of them. I mean, we can fill a whole.
Is that right?
Yeah, there's over 80,000. It's either 80 or 40,000.
How many are just within Christianity, which just cracks me up?
I don't know. It's just, but they're all desert religions. They like blood and crap. But anyway, literally, they like blood and crap. Cooking with crap. It's in the Bible. Look for it. You'll find it.
I'm washed in the same blood as you, brother.
Oh yes. Have you ever tried washing something with blood? You just get it just never comes out. That's why the criminals that shoot somebody or kill somebody, they run to the washing machine and they run it through the rinse because blood does not come out easily. But anyway, she was forced to marry at 16, and when she was 17, the documents claim she became pregnant, was told to have an abortion. If she didn't, the church threatened that she would lose her job, her house, and her husband. And if she did lose her job, she would have to change her to a freeloader debt to the tune of $120,000, according to the documents. This is unbelievable that the people that are behind this and their religion of Xenu and all this other crap, they think that their souls came and landed in volcanoes and really, look it up. That's pretty much it.
But in my eyes, it's just a different. It's like, the bag of M&Ms. It's just different color and flavor. It's still nuts. It's no less or more nuts.
And you know what happens with M&Ms? You put them together, they all mush the same anyway.
What?
I said when you push M&Ms together, and they all melt. They all end up looking the same anyway.
Exactly.
They're all a bunch of crack crazies.
Religion is
it's a mixed bag of crazy. But then they've got if you go to the page, which will be at packardpokes.wordpress.com, there's some. Wow, they get the Church of Scientology, the Celebrity Center. Apparently, they've drawn in a lot of celebrities too. It's just unbelievable.
Just to show you, people, celebrities are just as gullible as everybody else.
That's right. They're sometimes I think more so.
Yeah,
who would sign a contract for that kind of money and then have to? No, I'm just kidding. I'd sign a contract like that in a minute if I could make that kind of money too. But I'd still be an atheist.
Yeah. So there are celebrity atheists.
Yeah, I'm the celebrity atheist. Yes, I. Oh, I'm not a celebrity. Yes, I am. No, I'm not. Just kidding. Am I? No, just kidding.
You are to us.
Dan, your thoughts?
Yeah, the Church of Scientology is pretty crazy place from all that I've seen and heard, and having been in a couple conference calls with someone who is fair. I'm not going to say they're high up in the church, but they're not just starting out. Let's put it that way. The woman who I've talked with on a couple conference calls that is in the Church of Scientology and has been for years uses some very distinctive ways of speaking and turning conversations to exert control. And it's something that they learn very early on, and the Church of Scientology is all about control. They make their people sign a billion-year contract.
Wow.
Billion-year contract?
And do you know about the
billion-year
auditing
contract,
as well?
which the woman in this case did at the age of 12.
Damn.
Start young, yep. Start them young.
Damn. Billion years.
And if you quit the church before that time is up, you owe them all this money for the stuff they provided for you during that time.
Oh,
you know, this is for the
they
not
let you
so
in, don't
rich people that are getting into it. You know, they'll you know, it's like they'll give you this stuff from the company store, and you'll owe your life to them.
Damn.
It's really disgusting.
It is. It just, wow.
Well, it's been around long enough now, too, that, like, it's just the newest crazy, right? And
the latest crazy.
As crazy evolves, as it does, it gets more sophisticated. Look at religion now compared to 2,000 years ago. It will continue to evolve and get more sophisticated, and this is a perfect example of that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It just, I just did... This reminds me, there's a video, I just saw it the other day. There's a hidden video of, this is not Scientology, it's Mormonism. They're real secretive too about their practices, and someone was able to sneak out how they do one of their veil ceremonies. I watched that and I was like, this is freaking weird. It's the creepiest, weirdest thing I've ever seen. You got to see this. I'm not going to post it, but if you get a chance to look for it, it's out there on YouTube. Joe, your thoughts?
Packard, I refuse to believe Scientology, the religion of Xenu, ruler of the Galactic Confederacy, would do such a thing.
I knew that was coming.
But seriously,
How offensive, Packard.
I know, I'm so bad. May Zunu kick a big crap on my head, you know.
And it's funny because, I mean, other religions will get right in on the joke. That's so funny. They don't realize, like, oh, you can laugh at that, but
it's like, look in the mirror.
Yeah.
It's okay.
But anyway, this story is consistent with the stories of other ex-Scientologists. The religion is hoo-ha, like Medusa would say, and it's great that this woman broke free. There's a book out called Inside Scientology, the story of America's most secretive religion, and it's by an author named Janet Reitman. And I actually got to go see her give a presentation about what she knows about Scientology in New York. And I didn't get a chance to read the book yet, but the stories she told were pretty amazing. Like former members would quit the church, and suddenly there would be a car sitting in the street near their house watching them all the time.
Oh, jeez.
Keeping track of who was coming in and out. They would get phone calls. Who are you talking to? Why are you talking to those people? You know?
Damn.
All sorts of weird, creepy stuff. The same exact stuff they were doing to Kitty Holmes when she took the kid to New York.
Yeah. That's why I heard that, they were like, oh, no, you got to come back. And then the next day, oh, I love Tom all over again. And I was like... Yep.
What? That happened?
Yeah.
They're like the J. Edgar Hoover of religion. They have this whole force of secret agents that run around looking for ex-members and seeing what they're doing, and if somebody's in town giving a speech against Scientology, like I went to see Mrs. Reitman give her speech, what they'll do is they'll send agents to keep track if any members of Scientology are there.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
They're
crazy.
super
Not a cult
creepy.
at all. Not at all.
Yeah, it says here they also her education needs were also ignored, and that's just sad. I mean,
What a shock.
yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. It's sad, but it doesn't. But it's not surprising. But just sorry. See, I forgot who you were. Vonnie, your thoughts?
What are my thoughts? I think I gave my thoughts. It's all crap. They're all cults.
Did you have something to say about the auditing?
Yeah, well, there is the auditing. Yeah, that's it's 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. So I mean, they have their ways. Mormons have their ways. Blah blah blah. Right? They all have their little tricks.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the one thing about Scientology, though, is that what I was starting to say and got side railed there, is that it's been around long enough now that children are being born into it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For a couple generations now. And so, yeah, religion's
They have their own
never
process
really
of
going to go
indoctrinating
away
their
because
children,
it's
too.
human nature to be gullible. It's human nature.
I'm not gullible. Where's my gold-plated
No.
toothpaste?
No, but what chance? I mean, your chances are so much slimmer if you're born into it. That's where the glue is, right there. It's indoctrination, and
Oh,
it
yeah.
really doesn't matter which one it is. And it's just, I'm glad this lady broke free too, and I hope she tells her story everywhere.
Oh yeah, I hope so too. They're gonna
But-
be following her for the rest of her life now, because the woman's not gonna have a normal life, because they're gonna be chasing her down, and who knows what they're gonna do.
You know, I think that depends on her, because if that were me, I assure you, I would not roll over. I would be just as aggressive.
no.
back. I would be charging them. I would be suing. I would go to the media. I would do everything I could to make their life miserable. Versus them making mine miserable. So I hope she's aggressive enough to do that.
I hope so too. I hope she has the will to be able to do this. I mean,
Well, see, that's the other problem, especially if it's indoctrinated situation, because they also groom their followers to be very submissive to that mindset, to don't question authority, you won't be stronger than us, blah blah blah. It makes them weak.
yeah. Says she
and
became.
scared.
It says here she also became so desperate that she actually faked a suicide by swallowing bleach to try to escape. I mean, I've been pretty desperate to do things, but I don't like swallowing bleach is not one of the top things on my to eat list.
No, but that does kind of go with what I was saying, is that she feels helpless. She doesn't know how to feel strong. She wasn't groomed to be strong. She was groomed to be weak.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
So she went that way because it's the only thing she knows, and I hope she's surrounded by very strong people.
Yeah, I hope so too. I hope they
Or
can
even
help her.
at least one strong person to be there for her, to give her that push she needs.
Yes. Well, we have Scientology this topic out. We'll be following this topic around for the rest of our life. No,
Run, kids, run! Run
run, children, run!
for your life!
Let's get into our next topic. And our funny tweak this evening comes from Weird Ralph. He says, I hate it when my mom yells at her kids. I want to stop her and say, lean in and close and whisper, it's much scarier that way. This way, the kids are like, oh my gosh, it's so terrible that I have to whisper it to me. Oh no!
It's always worse when it's whispered.
Dan, your thoughts?
I like. I approve of this tweet.
I'm Dan Unrelated, and I approve of this message. Joe, your thoughts?
When I was a kid and I was acting up, my mom would lean in and she would say, knock it off or I'll smack you in front of God and everybody.
I've had that conversation. I've had that same conversation. I was like, who?
And you know what's funny is I never really understood it. I'm like, what are you talking? God never what? The only part I
everyone
understood was smack.
Yeah, smack, because you just like, smack, smack. Oh, I don't know what you're talking about, but smack, I hear the word smack. I'll settle down. Smack is the key word there, boys and girls. That's the one you pay attention to. Funny, your thoughts.
Funny, I don't really have one of those things, but I have a look. Just the look. And I remember saying to my son once when he was like, yeah, I don't know, 12-ish, and I'm like, you should know this look by now. Take a good look, study it. You should know it by now. I just have a look. Anyway, great tweet.
Yes. All right, let's get into our next topic.
Hey, you guys!
Our shout out this evening comes from me, and the shout out is for Irish Freebird. His bio says, I'm Irish by heritage and quite proud of it. My Twitter handle holds personal meaning for me, and I'm an avowed atheist. Religion made me liberal. And I've had several conversations with Irish Freebird, and he sounds like he seems to be a pretty nice guy. So if you want to give him a follow, his name is spelled IRISH FREEBIRD, just like it sounds, Irish Freebird. Give him a shout and tell me you heard him on the show. Okay, let's get into our question of the week.
Excuse me. I have a question.
I have a question.
I have a question, sir. What are you doing? I'm asking you a question.
Our question from last week, actually, I would like to make a quick note here. I forgot to read the answers from when we went on vacation. We asked a question, and I forgot to read the reply. That was from. So we're going to have two from the same person. They're both from Wizard of Todd. The question from that week was, if you could go back at any point in time, travel, bring back one item, and what would that item would not upset the present or future, what would it be? And he replied to that one that he said he would kife a fusion bomb. They tested it at the Bikini Atoll, bring it to now, and let her rip at the New Mexico desert for Independence Day. Now that's a firecracker. So I apologize to Todd. Word to Todd. He made an effort to come to the show last week, and I completely forgot to read that one. But we have the new one from last week. Was if you're on a ship at sea and I'm the captain, where are we going and what will you do when we get there? Now he also replied on that one. He said that, and this was kind of long actually. Whoops, there goes my thing there. This one, I forgot to change the question on the thing there. All right. Anyway, I'm so bad. It says he said that sadly for you, I pull the Long John Silver and take over the boat. I drop you off at an island promiscuous bisexual babes who love Midwestern accents. I leave to hunt down the Crimson Permanent Assurance. Instead of them, I run into some cute Thai chicks and walk on my back barefoot when my back is sore and give me happy endings. Then I wake up realizing sick a scenario is utter, male bovines feces, and then I cry myself back to sleep. The end.
That was awesome. He put a lot of thought into that.
He put a lot of thought into that one. That's a great story, beginning of a story of a book.
That's so good.
I love Wizard of Todd's answers. They are so original.
Yep. Yeah, he's one of my faves.
Yes. Definitely. So, kudos to Wizard of Todd for the answer on this last question. Okay, the question for this week comes from Dan, and I've got the wrong file here, of course. Okay, it says, if you could physically enhance yourself in any way, wings, x-ray eyes, stretchable arms, anything goes, what would you choose?
Oh, good question.
Dan, if you could physically enhance yourself in any way, x-ray eyes, etc., what would you choose?
That's a tough one, and it's even my question. So,
yes.
I don't know. I really don't know. I suppose.
How do you ask a question and not think about the answer?
It's a good question. That's my question next time, so no one steal that one. How do you ask a question and not know and not come up with an answer?
No, the X-ray eyes would be cool.
Yes, that'd be excellent in Vegas.
Yeah.
Or girls' locker rooms. No.
Wings would be cool too.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that was going to be my guess
Yeah.
right there.
Gotta
I
watch
hate
out in
traffic.
storms though, because lightning sucks.
Yeah, but you still have your feet, right? You could add. It's an add-on. You don't
Yeah.
lose your legs because
No.
you got the wings. So, right?
No, yeah, you get to keep your feet. You didn't say you have to
Yeah,
take anything
I was
away. You
there,
just have to.
okay?
You just get to add a feature to yourself.
Fly with care.
Okay. Joe, if you could physically enhance yourself in any way, wings, X-ray eyes, etc., what would you choose?
So one day I'm sitting here minding my own business, and Packard Sonic asked me how I would like to physically enhance myself.
Oh, here we go.
And I'm just like, really, Packard? Really? How do you know I need enhancement?
Come on.
Those
They have
pumps
pills
don't
for
work,
that.
or so I've heard.
They have pills for that, Joe.
See, it's not about size anyway. There's a saying, it's not the size of the wave, it's the motion of the ocean.
And all guys know that's a lie.
Actually, it's not a lie.
Kidding.
Well, okay, not for me.
Totally
anyway.
kidding.
Anyway, speaking of the ocean, my actual answer would be I would like to have the ability to breathe underwater and to have my body resistant to the pressure of depth.
That'd be excellent.
Ooh,
That way
that's
I could
good.
just walk across the bottom of the ocean or go explore shipwrecks, look for treasure, all sorts of fun things. I think that would be fun.
swim with the fishies and dolphins.
Yes.
Exactly.
And then you got to be careful of those dolphins. They're the rapists of the sea, you know.
Dolphins might rape
Horny
me.
little buggers. Yeah.
Might get raped by a dolphin.
You might like it.
You might like it.
yeah.
You don't know. Hey.
I'll have to take a pill to protect me from dolphin AIDS.
You can put it on the internet later.
Yes.
Apparently, there's
We-
people into that kind of thing.
Apparently. Funny. You can physically enhance yourself in any way. Wings, X-ray eyes, etc. Anything goes. What would you choose?
I would choose a younger face for sure. I shouldn't say that. That's probably ungrateful to say because I don't actually probably look my age, but still, I would.
Okay.
And because I'm vain like that. And I would definitely go for the wings, but I want what Joe got too. So I want what Joe has plus wings.
Okay.
Oh, and the ability to not have to close my eyes in the water, like you know how
I-
fish have.
Oh yeah, I do that anyway. I just open my eyes. I don't care. I'd rather see where the hell I'm going.
Yeah, but after a while, that guck kind of hurts your eyes. So I want fish eyes, but I want what fish have, so they can keep their eyes open.
Oh, fish eyes are kind of creepy, especially you're getting them out. They're looking at you. You know?
Yeah, I don't want the whole shabeel of a fish eye. I just want.
Oh, okay.
That would look funky, wouldn't it?
Yes.
You ever open your eyes in the ocean?
I've never actually swum in the ocean.
It's like, okay, I've swum in lakes. I can open my eyes underwater. You open your eyes in the ocean. It's like, ah!
It hurts, does it? I've never swam in the ocean. Maybe someday.
I live in a landlocked area, so swimming in the ocean is a little far for me to go to take a towel.
That says basically you're a mermaid.
Yeah, exactly.
With wings.
With wings. If I could be physically enhanced in any way, wings, X-ray eyes, stretchable arms, etc. What would I choose? I would choose the breathing underwater thing. I like that idea. I thought about flying, but lightning's a bitch, and I like the invisibility and the X-ray eyes. So I think I'd do with being able to turn invisible on a whim. Of course, if you've ever seen X-Files, there was a guy who said he wanted to become invisible. He walked out into traffic and nailed by a semi. So I think I want to be able to control that and be able to have X-ray eyes, and then I'm going to Vegas. I want a really intelligent brain. I want to have a huge. I want be able to pack my head with full of information, so that way I can get all the money I need, and then I can use it to help people. So that's just me, of course. But anyway. All right. Well, that's it for us tonight. I want to thank everybody for coming. and we had a little bit of a late start, but hey, on this show, that's just the way things go. Want to thank Vonnie for coming to the show, showing up tonight, and filling in for Medusa. Medusa will be on hiatus for a while until further notice, due to some medical concern she's dealing with right now. So we wish her well and hope for a speedy recovery with her situation.
Get well, Medusa.
And next week we'll have another person who will be filling in. So we wish Vonnie very farewell, but she is welcome again to come back and visit the show and shake things up and make us run long. No, I'm just kidding.
Sorry, one of my other mad skills.
I'm totally kidding. As we go into hour 4. No, I'm kidding.
Thank you for having me.
You are very welcome. You are very welcome. It's always good to shake the show up around here because we kind of enjoy that. We like getting shaken up around here. Unfortunately, since I don't live in California, I don't have to worry about getting shaken up too much. I'll take that martini shaken, not stirred. But if you want to reach us on Twitter, and if you're not on Twitter, where aren't you? You can reach Dan on Twitter as...
relatively unrelated. That's RELUNRELATED.
Right. And if you want to reach Joe on Twitter, you can reach Joe on Twitter as...
JoeUnseen, JoeUnseen.
Right. If you want to reach Vonnie on Twitter, you can reach Vonnie on Twitter as...
Evolution Child. It's EVOLUTION_CHILD.
Yeah, you forgot your underscore when you were trying to log in earlier tonight, weren't you?
Yeah, I did. Don't forget the underscore, because apparently there's another one out there, but it's not me. I have the underscore.
Yes, I checked it out because I thought there was no underscore, and I checked it. I was like, that's not Vonnie. So make sure you put that underscore in there, otherwise you're going to get somebody completely different. Going to go, who are you? So
you're going to get Bizarro Vonnie.
Bizarro.
The alter ego.
Maybe her alter ego. Maybe she's the totally flipped opposite of Vonnie. I really don't know. And the video. Oh, whoa. Wow. Okay, everybody drink.
And I got to get a drink for next time I come. I didn't know you guys started this little drinking game.
We just did. Tonight's the first night, so if we have an issue, drink. Okay.
Well, I would have been drunk 10 minutes into the show.
Yes, I think I would have been too. That's not good.
Bearing in mind that one drink gets me drunk, so.
There you go. If you want to reach me on Twitter, you can reach me on Twitter as Packard_Sonic. That's PACKARD_SONIC. If you want to reach the show notes, that's at PackardPokes@WordPress.com. That's where all the good porn is. So if you want... No animals were harmed in the porn making of PackardPokes@WordPress.com. No, I'm just kidding. But if you want to get the show notes, go to PackardPokes@WordPress.com. They'll be there. There's a donation button there. If you like the show, if you can afford a few dollars, please press the donation button. That'll keep this whole issue from happening. I can buy some new equipment, and you won't get quite as drunk watching the show.
Don't do that.
Maybe you like getting drunk. I don't know. Maybe you like getting drunk watching the show. I don't know. Everybody's always happy when they come to the chat room. Speaking of the chat room, if you want to join us at 9 o'clock at Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Standard Time, that's 10 o'clock Eastern. That's at justin.tv/PackardPokes@, all one word, no spaces in there, and then you sign up for an account, and you can come in and chat with us, and we'd be happy to have you in there. So please feel free to stop in. We had some new faces in the chat room again tonight, and we appreciate that. We always have a really good time here. If you would like to get the show notes, or not the show notes, but when the show announcements come out, and the show is available to be downloaded on YouTube, it's on youtube.com/PackardPokes@, and it's also on iTunes. Just look for Packard Pokes on iTunes, and you can get the show note. You can get the show there. It's just audio format there, unfortunately. But hey, if you're listening to this on your iPod or iPhone or whatever, or your mobile device, just glad you're listening. At least somebody is. No.
Also, Packard pokes that at WordPress.com. That's also a very nasty porn site.
Yes, it is. It's the nastiest porn site out there. You just get it is so nasty. That's the hardest porn site you're ever going to find. Is Packard
That's
pokes.
where the cop downloaded all the animal porn from.
Yes. So visit and visit often. It lowers your blood pressure. And raises it at the same time. This has been Packard Pokes that we just poked at your news.
And that's a wrap.